Today, I'm joined by David Coppedge, an astrophysicist and seasoned informational technology specialist with 14 years of experience working for the Cassini mission to Saturn at NASA's JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. During his time as the systems administrator for the mission, he oversaw the crucial task of managing the communication systems for the Cassini spacecraft. David, it's an honor to have you on the show.
It's great to be here, David.
Listen, we have heard about some of the things that you've done, but you've had quite this fascinating career that led up to the point that you're at right now. First, tell me a little bit about your work with JPL and the Cassini mission.
Oh, that was a great honor to be a part of the largest outer planet mission ever launched. And the Cassini spacecraft, as big as a school bus, was loaded for bear with all kinds of instruments. And we had a fantastic time, 13-year mission, and I was there for 14 years from launch until the second extended mission.
Wow. Around that same time, you were doing all of this scientific work with a scientific organization, and you know, as time progressed, there came a point where your belief in the idea that there is a creator kind of got into the way. Can you briefly talk about that for a second?
Yes, I had a good reputation there. I was a team lead of the system administrators in charge of most of the computers for the mission. And but I had this bad habit once in a while of sharing Illustra Media videos on DVD with coworkers. And, you know, it's just occasionally, not with people I knew. Yeah. But I gave out one too many, and this lady complained that she felt harassed by my religious views, even though it was just intelligent design. And that was a domino that started me getting fired.
I'm telling you what, there really is suppression of truth simply because of views that have nothing to do with doing real scientific study. In fact, people with your belief system have done some of the best science in history. So I do applaud you for standing firm. It must have been incredible to witness the spacecraft passing Jupiter in 2000, and then the Cassini mission, it passed Jupiter's moon Io in 2001, I think it was. For viewers at home who might not be familiar with it, can you explain what makes this moon so unique?
Io is the most volcanically active body in the solar system. And yes, we got a picture of it on the way by Jupiter, but now greater pictures have come from the Juno spacecraft, and so we know a lot about Io.
That's beautiful. Now, Juno spacecraft has conducted about 2 more flybys of Io, and we have some pictures. They're really stunning that came from that mission. But David, could you just discuss the data collected during those flybys and explain the implications of those findings for us?
Yes, we got great pictures from Galileo in the late 90s and early 2000s. And what they found is that there are 400 volcanoes on this moon. I mean, far more than even on the Earth. And there's so much energy coming out of this little moon that it's equal to like 5 times all the heat output of Yellowstone coming out of this moon, which is about the size of our moon.
Interesting. Tell me, what are the implications for creation based on the new discoveries? Why does it point towards biblical creation and not towards the evolutionary perspective of random stellar evolution?
Well, there's 2 problems here. The problem is the amount of heat, and typically they say it comes from tidal flexing. In other words, you know, you take a rubber ball and squeeze it, and you might get heat that way. Or you could have the original heat, or you could have radioactive heat. But none of those can account for the amount of heat coming out. The estimates I've heard, you know, are about 1/10 can be explained by tidal flexing, up to maybe 1/3. But there's far more heat coming out of there. And so the point is that this points to youth, that Io cannot be billions of years old. In fact, if it has been going in this steady state for 4.5 billion years, it would have regurgitated its entire mass tens or hundreds of times, according to a new paper in Science that I reported on in March.
We actually have this report that you wrote about Jupiter's volcanic moon defies deep time. These photos of Io are prompting many new discussions that challenge the secular consensus of 4.5 billion years of solar system formation. In the last few seconds, tell us what should be our takeaway from all of this new data that we're getting.
Well, it's just one of many bodies in the solar system, including one of Saturn's moons, Enceladus, which is also volcanically active. And so it shows that these things cannot be billions of years old. Otherwise, it's absurd to think that they were erupting for hundreds of times their entire mass. Instead, these things point to just a few thousand years.
Absolutely. And I completely concur. Everything is pointing us right back to biblical principles. Thank you, David, so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us on the Genesis Science Report. Until next week, I want you to keep looking up. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God.